Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Sopo here. I am filming another video today and I wanted to talk to you about 1 month recap as a mom and the items that we found absolutely essential throughout this month. So if you're first time here, first of all, please don't forget to like, comment or subscribe if you like the content that you see on here. If you are a recurrent viewer and you're already a friend of mine, welcome back. Let's get started. I'm already prepped. I have all my notes here. Obviously I don't need to say this, but I'm gonna still underline shortly that the items that we found useful might not be relevant for you. It of course depends on the lifestyle, on the house, flat, I don't know, the situation that you're in, on your baby, on your preferences, what makes you feel comfortable. So when you watch this video, obviously put everything through that lens. So if you find any of these items relevant and useful for you, the link's gonna be down below. I'm not getting any commission or advantage for it. I'm just genuinely sharing you my experience. Where should I start? There is so much to say about the newborn phase. I think I should definitely do dedicated videos with regards to breastfeeding experience throughout this first month, or the emotions and like the like general flow of life throughout this first month. And here in this video concentrate more on really items. So they're gonna be part 2 and part 3 coming. General note with regards to sleeping. What we found in our case absolutely relevant for her good naps, which I would say we're a little bit blessed with because she's a good sleeper, is to have a good sleeping bag. But not just any sleeping bag, because most of the sleeping bags when you search online are like with arms open, but the ones that have the swaddle option. We have gotten ours from the brand called Tommy TV, and here is the first one that I want to show you. It looks adorable. You can tell it has this little stars and moon shape. Is off-white color. I really find this pretty. You can see on the sides you have like buttons, so when she wakes up we always have an option to free her arms. We mostly take her out of this swaddle entirely, but if you want to keep her in there, you can open up the arms and then you have a zipper which goes all around and then keeps her tucked in and warm. This was a recommendation of my friend. When I asked her about like having a little blanket, she was like, oh, do you really need a blanket? There are swaddles which have really good warmth. You can use that instead of a blanket and also have it as a sleeping bag. So it was like 2-in-1 proposal, which worked perfectly for us. These Tommy Tippy ones have on the side this little like marker, or I don't know, like little label which says 2.5 talk, which apparently shows you how thick this swaddle is. We have gotten this one for 0 to 3 months, and we also got very thin one over here. This is a little bit boring basic gray color because they did not have any other nice options. And this one is with 0.2, which is super thin, almost stretchy like material, as you can see. And this is for like summer days that are to come. Having her hands swaddled in helped very lot for her to have a good nap. You know that the newborns have this startle effect, I don't know, the startle reaction, so she was constantly waking herself up. Having her arms like tucked in made her feel secure, and it's up to now a good guarantee for her to stay calm even when we are going outside for the walks. Another thing that we found equally essential for her good sleep is the movement. You've probably seen a lot of parents driving around in the neighborhoods in circles and wondered what's happening. Most of them are having like babies inside. Because of the white noise and the movement, they fall asleep very well. Yeah, movement is a key, and we are so very glad that we got our happiest baby bassinet. We also have the proper big bed here, which I showed you in the nesting videos, but every time we try to put her in this bed, she starts to cry because it gets a bit boring for her. Otherwise you would need to like rock her in your arms and make her fall asleep in a deep sleep, which comes pretty soon for the newborns. That's an advantage. Like you would need to rock around 10 minutes maximum, and then put her down. Maybe that would keep her in place. But because I don't want her to get used to being rocked constantly in my arms, because I believe that I won't be able to do that as she grows. She's already 4 kilograms. It's more than enough for me to hold for a few minutes. That's why we got this Happiest Baby Snoo bassinet, which has this different kind of movements depending on the fussiness level that she has. If she cries a little bit, it starts with a little movement and it progresses. It also has integrated white noise, but the combination of her being swaddled in and having this white noise and the movement guarantees that she sleeps approximately 3 hours, and sometimes at night she sleeps even 4 hours, depending on how well she ate before and how calm she is. I mean, I know that having such bed is really a luxury at some point, bearing in mind the cost that it has, but there are other options as well. A lot of my friends had a Moonboon hammock. There are other brands as well that produce it, and they all swore to it. So doing your research and looking at your budget to decide what kind of equipment you want to get is a good idea. It's not a must-have, but it definitely makes your life easier. The third point is the white noise machine. I remember that Falco was so against getting it. He was saying like, why do we need all these gadgets and these artificial items? We should be there and we should be supportive and holding her and creating like calm place for her. Well, that's true. She definitely responds to our talking. Not always. If she's totally into freaking out and crying, then the talking doesn't really help. But I notice when Falco is holding her and talking her while changing the diaper, it definitely calms her. But it's really, really handy if you have such white noise machine and don't have to constantly make this sounds with your mouth, especially if you're out and about as well. Where we live, it's very, very quiet. And one thing to know as well is that we might consider quiet very calming. According to what I've read, newborns don't get calmed down with quietness, but rather with hearing the familiar noises, and that's the talk of the parents or the sound of something that resembles the white noise machine or the heartbeat. So every time we are out and like trying to make little walk and she starts to fuss around, the first thing that we reach out is the white noise machine, because the movement is already there through walking. And the second one is pacifier, now that she is 1 month old. Which brings me to another point. For a quick falling asleep, we found that having pacifier is a very useful tool. I've mentioned it in other vlogs that Falco is really following all the guidelines and the recommendations that we got from the midwife. We were told not to give the pacifier the first month because it could cause the nipple confusion. But I don't know, like I feel pretty confident saying that from the beginning our baby was very chilled with regards to trying bottle, then going back to the nipple, like doing the breastfeeding thing, taking the pacifier and then again drinking the milk from my breast. It was never that I felt like that she was opening her mouth different because she had bottle before. She just did it like on and off when I had to go somewhere and just left the milk to Falco. But yeah, it was never a big problem. So obviously try to look at your baby, how he or she is reacting, talk to your healthcare provider, midwives. But I would say that when you know that your baby is well fed, and you definitely feel that how empty your breast is after a while, you know, like when you know that the diaper is changed and he or she like doesn't have tummy ache and is still fussy and doesn't want to sleep, together with this movement and swaddling, I would say giving the pacifier to soothe is a very good way to calm babies down because of this sucking motion that they do. Now that she is over 1 month old, we try to give it to her when she doesn't calm down on her own. The one that we use is from Philips Avet. I don't have it with me at the moment, but I'm gonna insert a picture over here, and that works very well. We also have other ones like Beeps, but this one has a bigger teeth and we still have not tried it out. That's a philosophy on its own. You have to definitely try a few different ones, which one works for your baby, because they might not take all the versions. I also shortly mentioned the tummy ache topic, and that's something that becomes very relevant in the first month. I want to say that we are still lucky in comparison to what I've seen or heard from other babies. I have 2 nephews and I know how bad it was for them. To keep it short, I think that she only has like light version of colic or this tummy ache. But when she has it, she cries on top of her lungs, and it's literally heartbreaking. Yeah, there are obviously as well a few things that you can do to do like the massages, to move the legs in a bicycle motion, and that helps to some degree. And Falco regularly does that with her, but it might not be enough alone. We have had few situations where it really felt like that she was having problem to come out, you know, to go. Once when we had this fussy situation, midwife came. She proposed to get like drops and the suppository. I think that's what it is called. Both of them are not like really a medical product, because the drops that we give is a probiotic just to support the good flora, building of good bacteria in the digestive system, because it's very unripe for the newborn babies. Some have more problems, some have so mild that the parents don't even notice, but it's pretty common. So having such probiotic drops at least doesn't make you feel like that you're giving straight away some like medicine from the beginning on. Even that is not a problem. When we were at the doctor, she even proposed to get some other drops if it was very bad. She asked how we felt about it. For our case, these drops worked so well that we stuck to it, and we are giving like 5 drops in the morning and 5 drops in the evening. The drops are called Bigaya, and I'm gonna insert a picture over here. And the suppository is the Carum Carvi, which is as well homeopathic tool and made out of caraway. I don't know exactly what is the science behind it, but as soon as you put it in, at least in our case, you need to have empty diaper prepared quickly on, because she gets very fussy for the moment being, and then it releases the gases, or if she has constipation. Those two we found really essential. This problem started for us not from the birth on, thankfully. She gave me and Falco as well time to adjust, for me especially to recover. Her tummy ache started approximately in the 4th week, and initially we were not exactly sure, but observing your baby, we got to know the ways to realize when she's really having tummy problems and it's not just a general discomfort or fussiness. She starts to move her body in ways, you know, like, and starts to press, and there is really nothing, no position that really comforts her. And in such situations we really reach out for the suppository, but giving those drops regularly definitely helps. With regards to diaper, you remember that I showed a few of the creams that I already had prepared. This one is by Elasan, and I also have another one which is by Vileda. It's just downstairs. The midwife told us not to use it just, you know, proactively, but to only use it when the rash would appear. We don't know exactly what has caused it, but after a few weeks appeared some red spots. So we started using this one, but it did not really help in her case. The midwife asked to get the multi-lint cream, which is working wonders. This one has zinc, apparently helps against the redness and inflammation. Very little bit already helps a lot, so you just press on here and the cream comes out. Difference is that this one is as well a huge tube, but this gets a little bit watery, so you need to use a lot more. If you don't have a bad case, maybe this one works for some other people as well. It also has lanolin, which helps with wounds, and that's definitely a case that I can confirm with my, like, you know, wounds that I had on the breast, but it doesn't take away the inflammation and redness once the rash gets aggravated. But apart from the cream, what we found as well super important to keep her away from getting such rashes is to keep her dry once you clean her. And that's something I did not really know, and a friend of mine, another mama, really gave an advice to pay attention. Once you change the diaper, you thoroughly clean your baby, right? And we use this water wipes, which contain like 99.9% water, and it's really wet. Definitely can feel that, which on the good side helps you to clean these places very quickly, but then she's left with humidity under there. In my experience, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's worse to put on the diaper on such humid area then keeping your baby with, sorry, but like poo in it for 1-2 hours when it comes to developing a rash. Either you have to clean your baby very thoroughly with a cloth, or just leave her to air out for 5-10 minutes if she allows it and she lies quietly. Or if you have the warming lamps, let me show you, we also got one here. That can be very helpful for completely drying her up before putting on the diaper once again. We saw this a few times at our friends and I found it always ugly, so I was totally against it. But when Leia was born, she was like crying, obviously, as babies do, and they put her under such lamp. She instantly stopped crying and started to look at this warming lamp, heating lamp, like if it was a sun. That was the moment when Falco decided that we would be getting one, and we instantly got it. You guys, on the way home from hospital to home, we stopped at the baby shop to get this one. Even there, I was not really convinced we needed it, especially that Leia is a summer baby, but if you manage to look over the fact that it doesn't look that nice, that's something that I would definitely recommend right now, bearing in mind the experience that we have. It helps her so much. It helps even with gases, you know, like warming up the tummy. When Falco does these exercises or massages on the tummy, he lays her mostly under this heating lamp. We only have it in this room in the main nursery, so we don't use it at night when we are upstairs. But it really makes a big difference, especially if she is fussy. It's even worth to come downstairs and change her over here. With regards to the clothes, I have got a lot of clothes here for her, and I genuinely try to use like tops and bottoms so that at least they get some use, you know. But the most comfortable thing when you have a little baby is obviously to have like simple bodies like that, either with long arm, or we have few that are with short arm, short sleeve, like very basic one. But the most useful must have, in my opinion, is to have pajamas that are with zipper, preferably with double zipper. There is a brand called Carter's which has a double zipper PJs with different adorable prints, and that is really a lifesaver, especially at night. You don't want to completely wake your kid up when he or she wakes up for diaper change or nursing. You want to keep the environment as quiet and as soothing as possible so that you can put back the baby to bed as soon as it's possible. Why I say especially double zipper is that from the side you can open up from the bottom, just free up the legs and look into the pampers without completely undressing your baby, and that's the option that you have when you have a zipper from down below. Overall, I would say that you would need 6-7 pieces initially of those PJs, and then you can have any other clothing pieces that comforts you or that you like. And if you have one hat as well for going out, you are probably already well equipped for the newborn phase. First month must have molten clothes or any type of clothes, and lots of them, you guys. You probably know what I'm already talking about because I showed it in many videos. We have such ones which are like a little bit bigger, and we have also smaller ones. This is an item that you go through few throughout the day. I would say, in my experience, you need one in the pram because the baby might burp up the milk. That doesn't happen in the first 2 weeks, but as the flow gets bigger and the baby starts to drink more milk, they sometimes don't manage to work it all, and with the gassiness, lots of babies start to burp out and throw up the milk. You need one on the snuggle me because washing such lounging beds are very difficult. It needs a lot of drying. You need one on your changing beds, depending on which one you are using, but you guys know that we have those silicone washable ones. It's still sometimes a little bit cold for the baby, so we lay this molten clothes at least on the upper body area so that she doesn't pee on it while changing. I personally also use 2-piece when breastfeeding her. One I lay under her because when she drinks she sometimes has this letdown from the mouth if the flow is too much, and I have another one on my shoulder because I burp her as well in the middle of feeding, so that I don't have to always rip out, like take out this molten cloth from underneath her, put it on my shoulder, especially when baby starts to fuss around or choke, gag and cry. You don't want to deal with anything that is an additional step, you know, like even one step further is a lot of work in that situation. So one on here, one underneath, it protects as well not to have the letdown on my clothes, at least you know, it improves the possibility of like everything being gathered on there instead of making stains around. Another must-have in my opinion is to have a little lamp that doesn't create a lot of light. This one is in the main nursery. I don't even know if you can tell that this is on right now. It has such a low light, but that's more than enough for you to breastfeed the baby. Even most of the nightstand lamps are too bright in my opinion, because they barely see anything. They get distracted with the light. If it doesn't wake them up, it distracts them, so disrupts the breastfeeding. We have another little egg-formed lamp upstairs that you can dim to very, very low, and that's the one, and it's mobile. We drop it in the bed whilst she's breastfeeding so that I can at least see if she's having a good latch or when switching the sides, but that is definitely a lifesaver. Talking about the let down, I know that that's not a baby item but rather more a mom related item, is that in this first month I found the nursing pads essential, absolute necessity and essential for myself. At the moment I'm having the one-time use Lancilo, yes, nursing pads that I got gifted from a friend that did not need to use that. I also had other package that I already emptied. I also have the washable ones, but because I have a lot of let down, they get dirty very quickly, and even with this regular washings that you need to do with the babies, I don't come forth with having enough. So having such single-use ones that you can glue underneath your bra is a lifesaver. Otherwise you would need to have lots of nursing bras because it gets dirty very, very often. So that's another thing that was absolute necessity and essential for us. With regards to breastfeeding, I would probably need to do a completely separate video, and the items that were lifesaver, including this Lancilo cream and having such cotton pads. You can see I have entire package that I put on top of my nipple to protect my clothes from getting the stains from these creams. Actually, it's recommended to keep it on air, but you can't walk around 24/7 like naked. Well, sometimes you just need to dress up. And pumps and bottles that also can stimulate more milk production in the beginning, but I won't be touching on that because that's not something that we did that much in this first month, and that was so needed. So yeah, not relevant. The last thing I would say was essential in our case for the first months is having a few bed sheets and few of the swaddles, even for such like bed that we have, because yeah, as told, they burp up the milk, they throw up, and sometimes it's fine, but sometimes the wetness really wakes them up and makes them fussy, so they don't want to lay in there. You are forced to change. Even if you would have left it for a few more hours until morning, you are forced to change that. I remember initially I was like really irritated when Falco additionally bought a pack of such swaddles for this bed because they cost an extra. But I realized that it would have been even better if we had 2 pieces more, because right now we need to regularly wash them and keep track if they are dry. I would say that's all the baby items that come in my mind at the moment. Obviously, I don't regret getting all this mobile changing pads or toys that she cannot play with, because it's something that creates this beautiful calming environment for me. It's her room and I come in here and I know all these items belong here, even though she cannot use them. None of the toys have been touched by her because she barely sees any, or she doesn't consciously perceive her hands yet. She doesn't hold things. She barely started smiling, and that happened after like 5th week. All these things that I have shown you in the nesting videos were basically for us. So as she grows, she'll be using them more, so I know that it's not in vain, but I would not include them as an essential in this content. I would say I've practically covered all the topics. I know this video is gonna be once again super long. I hope you enjoyed it so much that you stayed until very end. If you did, please don't forget to let me know in the comment section below that you watched it until very end. I'm gonna be very happy, especially as a fresh mom. You know how much work and time goes into creating such videos and editing them. Not putting a pressure. I know I do it for my own pleasure, but still, good timing, the little one is crying. So I'm gonna call it a day. Thank you very much once again, and I'm gonna see you on my next one.